This is the AWS News Desk, live from Seattle, with your host, Rudy Chetty.
One of the year's biggest tech events is underway. reInvent 2020 has gone virtual. More than 500,000 people are expected to tune in around the world. Today's keynote from CEO Andy Jassy delivered some major news.
Welcome to the 9th annual AWS reInvent and the first virtual one.
More than 35 major launches and updates so far, spanning across compute, storage, machine learning, databases, analytics, and more. AWS talks a lot about reducing the heavy lifting, and with the launch of AWS Proton, it is solving a huge pain point for developers. Provisioning, monitoring, and deploying applications can be cumbersome when small chunks of code are involved, especially in serverless or container deployments. This new tool makes it radically more simple to provision, deploy, and monitor applications. Nothing like this exists today from any other provider. AWS's fastest growing service, Amazon Aurora, got a big update too.
You can scale up as big as you need to instantaneously. It only scales you up in the precise increments that you need to. So if you're using Aurora Serverless v2, you can save up to 90% versus provisioning Aurora for the peak.
Jassy highlighted that you can scale to hundreds of thousands of transactions in a fraction of a second. And if that wasn't all, new capabilities allow customers to run SQL Server applications directly on Amazon Aurora.
And these companies also have no qualms about changing the licensing terms midstream on you. You just look at what Microsoft did with SQL Server in the last year or two. They basically changed the terms so you can't use your SQL Server licenses anywhere but Microsoft's cloud. Is that good for customers? Hell no.
Babelfish is a new translation layer, so Amazon Aurora PostgreSQL now understands commands from applications written for Microsoft SQL Server. Companies can stop paying for SQL Server licenses they don't need and migrate their applications from proprietary SQL Server. This untethers them from what some view as unfair licensing terms and allows them to use the open source PostgreSQL. AWS has also made the Babelfish source code available to anyone as an open source project hosted on GitHub. In another first, AWS is offering the only storage area network, or SAN, built for the cloud. Amazon EBS IO2 Block Express volumes help AWS customers run demanding applications in the cloud instead of on-premises, eliminating the need to plan and scale for peak capacity. Let's shift now to a look at some of the machine learning announcements. Reporter Rob Munoz is standing by in Seattle.
Thanks, Rudy. A lot to cover today with a big move into the industrial machine learning space.
Now, there are other companies who say, look, I have modern sensors that I'm fine with. I'm also okay taking the data from those sensors and sending it to AWS, but I don't want to build the machine learning models. I just want to send you the data, use your models, and have the data come, the predictions come back to me through the APIs, that third layer of that machine learning stack. And so we have something for this group of customers as well to announce today, which is the launch of Amazon Lookout for Equipment.
Now, organizations that have existing sensors deployed today can now harness the power of that data. A new service called Amazon Lookout for Equipment allows customers to send data from their sensors, and it builds ML models for them to spot abnormal equipment behavior. And for the customers that want an end-to-end machine monitoring system, the unveiling of Amazon Monitron is your answer. Customers can mount sensors on any piece of equipment. Think bearings, motors, pumps, conveyor belts, and more. And the data like vibrations and temperature are sent to Monitron, where it will detect when there are abnormal fluctuations and alert technicians via an app. Amazon Panorama Appliance adds computer vision to existing cameras, improving quality control and even workplace safety. Another service is Amazon Lookout for Vision, which spots defects and anomalies in images. So imagine spotting inconsistent colors, cracks, or odd shapes, all to help improve quality control. Today's announcements were just the tip of the iceberg for ML services. Jassy walked through a few SageMaker updates, but make sure to tune into the machine learning keynote 1 week from today on December 8th at 8 a.m. Pacific Time. In Seattle, I'm Rob Munoz.
Thanks, Rob. At the start of the COVID-19 pandemic, the need to stand up cloud-based contact centers increased dramatically. In about 2 months, 5,000 contact centers were deployed around the world. Today, Amazon Connect is gaining 5 new capabilities.
Each of these new capabilities really helps significantly improve our contact center agent productivity and helps them create even better customer experiences.
From giving agents a unified profile of each customer to offering real-time caller authentication with voice. These new features are going a long way to reinvent the call center experience. In the world of containers, we saw a few new innovations. Containers allow developers to deploy applications quickly and reliably in any environment. But today's news makes it even easier for customers. Amazon ECS and Amazon EKS can now be run in a customer's own data center, all with the same tooling available in the cloud today. Amazon ECS Anywhere and Amazon EKS Anywhere are available in the first half of 2021. It's not just the service launches at reInvent that are making headlines. Customers are highlighting new capabilities made possible by the cloud. Here is Denise Quashie with a customer highlight.
BlackBerry's shift into the world of connected cars is revving up with today's announcement, the launch of a new intelligent vehicle data platform. Vehicles on the road are full of parts from dozens of suppliers, along with unique software and sensors, which are all intended to make your drive smooth. But getting data out of those systems and understanding how that data is collected and formatted, it presents a roadblock for developers. This announcement from BlackBerry is clearing the way for automakers to innovate faster and with better insights. The new platform, called Ivy, is embedded inside a vehicle and managed and configured remotely from the cloud.
Cars or vehicles are becoming an extension of our digital life. Just as we have mobile phones, we expect our vehicles to really be personalized when we're in those vehicles. So we can deliver and enable machine learning algorithms that can take in raw sensor data and think of things like seat pressure and GPS, camera. And for instance, just with those three sensors at a higher level, we can enable an application to ask and to determine, is there a child in the car, an adult in the car, an animal in the car, for instance. And if there's a child in the car, for instance, restrict explicit music. Maybe alert customers when a passenger is being left alone in the vehicle.
From predictive maintenance to safety to the driver experience, the goal is to improve vehicle performance and make the road ahead for developers a bit more manageable. In Atlanta, I'm Denise Quashie.
There's something for just about everyone in today's keynote. In fact, I'm joined now by someone who spends his life work at AWS translating the art of the possible with the cloud. He's been with Amazon for more than 18 years. I'm pleased to welcome AWS's Chief Technical Evangelist, Jeff Barr, to the program. Welcome, Jeff.
Great to meet you, Rudy, and super happy to be here.
Jeff, you've been with AWS since the start in 2006. You've played a big role in all past reInvents. Let's start with your thoughts on today's keynote. What did you think?
Well, I'm super impressed, as always, with just the breadth of the different announcements that Andy made. There's just so much. I really think there's actually something for everybody. We ran the gamut from new instance types, machine learning, databases, additional AWS locations, truly something for everyone.
We can't have a reInvent without some database updates, and we're giving customers more flexibility with each new release. In this case, we've got version 2 of Aurora Serverless, which offers a significant cost savings benefit. What are your thoughts on the new Aurora releases, especially the SQL Server to Aurora capability?
Well, I'm super excited about the V2 Aurora Serverless, this idea that can instantly scale to hundreds of thousands of TPS. Our customers are going to take that, and I think they're going to be able to really create some really cool things we actually haven't thought of just yet. This idea that it scales upward in very fine-grained increments, that it does it really quickly. It's super flexible, super cost-effective. Pretty amazing stuff.
We've got lots of new instance types. The new AWS Graviton 2 instance is delivering significant savings, 40% for the same performance versus x86 chipsets. Talk to me about the philosophy of price cutting at AWS.
The way things work is that whenever we set pricing for AWS services, the team goes through a very detailed pricing exercise. And ultimately, the pricing is somehow derived from the cost it's going to take for us to deliver those services to our customers. So every time we can figure out a way to make things run more efficiently. We're going to figure out a way to pass those savings on to customers.
Sure.
Now, at the lowest level, this always represents itself in terms of just prices for raw compute power, and that's a great thing. But moving up the stack, even if the customer is running serverless or if they're running databases or ML that is hosted on those instances, those customers are also going to see better performance and more cost-effective delivery, regardless of what level of the stack they're consuming AWS.
If we stick with instance news, I'm very excited about the new macOS instance type for Mac Mini. I mean, developing for macOS usually requires a physical machine, so this is a game changer. What's your take on natively running macOS in the cloud?
Oh, I think it's a huge deal, and I had a ton of fun putting that blog post together because on one of my bookshelves you can see behind me, I still have the original brochure from when the Mac was introduced way back in 1983, I think it was. 83 or 84. I've got that original brochure. At one point in the distant past, I actually knew the Mac APIs pretty well. And it's pretty cool to kind of, often in my career, you see things come full circle where something that you used or talked about, sometimes even decades ago, is suddenly reemerging and becoming more useful and more readily accessible in the cloud.
We just announced dozens of features and services. COVID has dictated some change. Where do you think customers should start with this new process and this evolution of technology tied into what's happened in 2020?
Great question. And I've given a presentation a couple of times in the last few months that I call Rethink, Reinvent, Rebuild. And the thesis of my presentation is that really everything has changed due to all of us quarantining, working from home, that a lot of the constraints, a lot of the nuts and bolts, if you will, are somewhat looser on the systems and mechanisms in the past. So people are a little bit more receptive to change, maybe a little bit more open and flexible. So I actually think there's a lot of really interesting opportunities out there, and that this is, and fully acknowledging how tough and challenging this has been for folks, it's also a really interesting time for innovation to pop up. And let's see what people can make of, now that we're working from home, we're streaming from home, we're turning our houses into video studios. What does that mean for innovation?
Yeah, I mean, I see you've got some pretty fancy lighting there in your place, so you definitely have a good home studio. But as you said, we've got to make sure that customers can realize these new workloads and take their businesses forward into the future, we should say, or the new norm. But we've also had some exciting, like you mentioned, customer news today from BlackBerry and Carrier. It's the Internet of Things is touching, well, all the things. Are we still at the early stages of the Internet of Things, do you think?
Well, I always think that we're at the early stage of everything. Like we're in exponential growth for effectively every different kind of thing that we're doing. And so I think IoT is still relatively close to the beginning. I'm really excited by this idea that IoT devices in combination with 5G communication and then perhaps talking to wavelength zones are going to really do a lot to get compute power close to users. And then let's see what, in each of these technologies by itself is really cool, but when you mix and match a couple of them together, what does that enable? That's something I'm just really excited to see what's going to emerge there.
We'll leave it there, Jeff. Thank you very much.
Sure thing. Been a pleasure.
That was Jeff Barr, Chief Technical Evangelist for AWS. Shifting gears finally to another big announcement. Early praise is in for the Amazon EC2 Mac instances. Reporter Ali Flicker breaks down the announcement.
I am pleased to announce the general availability of Amazon EC2 Mac instances.
Big change for Apple developers. They can now run Mac OS workloads in the cloud for the first time. EC2 Mac instances let developers easily provision Mac OS workloads on AWS and integrate with other AWS services so they can focus on building great apps for users around the world. For global financial platform Intuit, who was an early adopter, EC2 Mac instances has already improved operations.
Since August this year, we have actually migrated 80% of our production workloads onto the Mac instances. The feedback's been very interesting and positive, right? We are actually seeing about a 30% improvement in performance and actually reliability as well compared to our data center environment.
Under the hood, you have Mac Minis with 8th generation Intel Core i7 processors and the AWS Nitro system enabling these instances. and AWS plans to deliver instances that take advantage of the new M1-powered Mac Mini in the future. Developers are no longer constrained by capacity issues and are able to use the scalability of the cloud, unleashing a world of possibility. In DC, I'm Allie Flicker.
That's all for today. Tomorrow, we'll hear from customers leveraging Amazon Connect and find out what the new capabilities are really enabling. And we'll speak with AWS's head of healthcare, life sciences, and genomics about the impact COVID-19 has had on customers. That's all tomorrow. Thanks for watching. I'm Rudy Chetty in Seattle, AWS News Desk, signing out.